What's the difference between an empire, a kingdom, and a dynasty? Right. So a dynasty is something that is pertinent to empires as well as kingdoms. So let's start with dynasties first. A dynasty is typically one family that rules for an extended period of time. So the father, let's say, starts a kingdom, becomes king, then his son takes over, then his grandson takes over, then great grandson, and there's a succession of kings all from the same lineage. That's a dynasty, right? In the US, you have the Bush dynasty. George W. Bush, George Bush Sr., the president who won the presidency in 1998. Sorry, 1988. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. 1988. And then George W. Bush, who won in 2004, I believe, all the way up to 2012, he was president. So that's one. There's the Clinton dynasty, and George Bush the senior has another son who tried to be president, right? So that's a political dynasty. That's a political dynasty. When it comes to kingdoms and empires, well, the Maurya Empire was an empire. It was also a dynasty because you have the empire starts with Chandragupta Maurya, then his son becomes king, becomes emperor after him, Bindusar. Then Bindusar's son, Ashok the Great, becomes king, emperor. And there's a whole list of kings all the way up to the last one who was assassinated by Pushyamitra Shung. So succession of kings, emperors, sorry, who are all from the same family, the same lineage. That's a dynasty. Another example is the Gupta Empire. Same. It starts with a king called Ghatotkacha in Magad. He was a small time king. But then his successors, his son, grandson, they became greater and greater. And eventually you have someone like Samudragupta, who conquered the whole of the subcontinent. Then you have Kumaragupta, who was a great king. You have Chandragupta, and so some of these emperors, they went all the way to Bahalik, which is beyond Afghanistan, and so much more. You have the Cholas and so on. So it's family lineages. That's dynasties. Okay. So typically, a kingdom typically has one dynasty. Sometimes you have multiple dynasties, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So that's a dynasty. It's a lineage of rulers, all starting from one ancestor and going down from essentially from father to son, or in the same family. Now, what's a kingdom? A kingdom is a state that's ruled by a king. A state means a political entity with a defined geographical boundary that is ruled by one king. That's a kingdom. A kingdom typically doesn't have vassals. An empire is a massive kingdom, and the king is called the emperor in an empire. And in the difference between kingdoms and empires is that empires are vast. They cover huge geographical regions, and they typically project power way beyond their boundaries by making other kingdoms their vassals. The Maurya Empire, the Gupta Empire, these are examples. The Chola Empire, um, so many examples. Yeah, the Kushan Empire, the Roman Empire, the Egyptians, so many examples. These are empires. The US has vassals all over the place. That's an empire, right? South Korea is North Korea is a kingdom. They don't have vassals. It's just one unit, one family. That's a dynasty. Kim Il Sung, Kim Jong Il, Kim Jong Un, three in the same family, right? That's a dynasty, and that's one kingdom. They don't have any vassals. They are the vassals of China, more or less. So I hope that explains the difference between kingdom, empire, and dynasty.